Hello and welcome once again to Punters Inside Run. Winter is just around the corner because we know that the Brisbane Racing Carnival has moved away from Doom to Eagle Farm. Adelaide's finished, but there is two Group 1s at Eagle Farm. We'll look at those today, and also racing at Sandown on the hillside and also at Randwick. Mick Sharkey and James Lamb join me as always, gentlemen. Welcome.
Hello, Matty. Lammy.
Eagle Farm sort of means it's winter.
It does, but I was in Queensland for most of this week. And
Just buying horses?
It's 20-something degrees. I had shorts and T-shirt on. If that's winter, sign me up for a bit of that, Lammy.
Bit nicer than the current conditions in Melbourne today.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the reason why they have that Eagle Farm Carnival this time of year, because it is good. Let's get stuck straight into it. And we're talking the first of the Group 1s. It's the Queensland Derby. It's $1 million race over the 2400. Lammy, Kovalik has been favourite for this race a long time. Comes off a very good third weight for age against the older horses in the Doomben Cup. It's a horse to beat.
Certainly is. It's hard to knock it, really. I thought last start there was a bit of a question mark on it coming off that foot abscess in the Doomben Cup, but I mean, drew the widest gate, spotting them a big start and ran straight past Zaki. So that's pretty good form for a race like this back against its own age group on Saturday. I
thought I got promises kept right in the SA Derby, that 2,500 metres, just the last 50 done kill, just came from nowhere. Back to 2,400, but this is a staying horse from the right stable, isn't it?
It is. Look, that was their first run with the horse as well, so they're learning more about it every time they take it to the races with every week of work. He'll go forward. Barrier 1's a great draw for him. Look, he's going to be hard to beat. I actually don't mind the South Australian Derby form in this with Abfeldy Boy running third. I thought he was a bit unlucky in that South Australian Derby. Arguably should have been a little bit closer than the 2 lengths he was from Dunkirk.
And Special Sway comes out of winning the Rough Habit for Chris Waller.
Yeah, it was big odds that day, but I mean, the Kiwi horses, the 3-year-olds, they always measure up in these, guineas and derbies. And Special Sway, look, it was a pretty good ride last time, took off early and kept running. It was a strong staying performance. I know it's drawn the car park here, but Nashua Willow, I think, is a good booking for this horse. He won't die wondering from that gate, probably goes forward and races in the first 4, even if it has to do a little bit of work early, and yeah, it's in the mix for sure.
Your top 3?
Kovalik, very hard to beat. I mean, no spoiling, $1.70, but too hard to be against. Special Sway for second. I've got promises kept. There's not a whole lot between it and Abfeldy Boy, both coming out of that SA Derby.
Shark?
I know we're only in May. He's nearly the bet of the year, Kovalika. I just don't think they'll get anywhere.
First here on Roller Derby.
I don't think they'll get anywhere near him in this race. He's going somewhere. Wouldn't surprise me if he was up the top of the markets for a Caulfield Cup after this, Lammy. He's on top to beat Abfeldy Boy, number 3, promises kept number 4. That South Australian Derby form, I think, will be okay here.
No reason to jump off the favourite. On with Kovalik as well. I've got promises kept to run second. I don't want to be in a Group 1 staying race without a horse from the Mar Eustace stable. And for a roughie, extra revs for John Sargent, like the way he got home in the Rough Habit. Last win was at 2,200, so getting out to 2,400 will certainly help for extra revs. The other Group 1 is the Kingsford Smith Cup. It's over the 1,300 metres. It's a weight for age. It's much tougher. Think About It's won 7 of 8. This is the big test for Think About It.
Yeah, it is. It's a big step up in grade, but it's a horse who is very much still untapped, whereas it's coming up against a lot of horses who we've probably seen the best of coming down the other side of the mountain, like horses like Eduardo. Even Rothfire, I know he's not an old horse, but he's had a few injury setbacks. So I think About It, it has the most upside, and it's probably the most versatile in terms of its racing pattern. It can go forward, go back. I think it'll slot in just behind a hot speed here. So I've got Think About It on top. I just think it's the horse on the up, and it's found the right race to break its Group 1 status.
I'll get to your top 3, the other 2 in a second. A Case of You went to the Doomben 10,000.
Yeah.
Finished off all right.
Yeah, he's been doing that in each of his runs in Australia. He gets back and he sort of just works to the line. I'm wondering if he's going to need the 1,400 metres, a bit further than the 13. Just that extra 100 doesn't seem like a lot, but he is a horse that gives up a fair bit of a head start.
All right, let's get those. You've got Think About It on top.
Yeah, Think About It on top. I think there's a good roughie here in Shallow. I think it's been called about 5 different things over its career. I'm going to go with Shallow. Best roughie at around $21. It's had 1 run in Queensland, came from a mile back to win there, and it's been kept fresh for this. Its fresh record is ridiculous, 7 starts for 5 wins, and we saw its best runs in Victoria are definitely good enough for this. I think it started $7 in a Group 1 Cantala, so it's the one I want to be on at big odds, and I've got a Case of You for 3rd, but yeah, similar to Shark, it might just get too far back and have too much to do yet again.
Don't worry about it, calling it Shallow. I've been called Shallow all my life. Your top 3?
Think About It on top for me. I love latching onto these horses that get on a bit of a winning streak and go through their grades. Biggest test in this race, but he's drawn to overcome the little class jump. I think he can be better than Rothfire here, number 4. Shallow Shayu, however you want to say it.
Chalet.
Charlotte.
I don't know.
Shayu.
Has there ever been a horse that's had
Shamey.
that many pronunciations of its name?
Come on, we're
Be
running out of
careful
time.
Anyway, it's in for third.
I've got a case of you on top. A big race rider, Mark Zara, back on board. 1 for 1 of the 1300. Think about it. Everything's been mentioned about it for the Steve Winwood fans. And out of the victory, I thought King of Sparta finished off the best, so getting to 1300 will help. All right, that's our Group 1s. Next up, we'll get the boys' best bets for racing at Sandown and also Randwick.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. Chances are you're about to lose.
This is Punters Inside Run. We're looking at Sandown Hillside first up. James Lamb is our expert in Melbourne. What did you rate the tracker? What did you work your form on?
I worked to a soft 5, soft
Five?
6. I think we're getting a fair bit of rain on Thursday night, but it's very windy in Melbourne today, so I think it'll be pretty dry at the moment. So no rain on Saturday. It should be a decent deck.
Did you land on Katsu as your best bet?
I did, and then I looked at the price, Matty, and I thought $1.80, it's not overly brave. So I've gone with a different best bet. I've gone with race 9, number 2, a Gunstock. I think we're getting about $2.80. Very well backed first up and won well over 1600. Ran down Keats, giving that runner 3 kilos that day. So it was a very nice effort. Steps up in trip here. Last time he stepped up in distance, second up, he won by about 3 lengths at Caulfield over 2,000 metres. I think he's a really smart horse. He's pretty lightly raced. I think he's only had 8 or 9
Eight
starts
starts,
for 4 wins. And look, his main danger, Pinstripe, it's going well, but he's drawn barrier 18 and is stepping beyond a mile for the first time. So I'm keen to be with Gunstock. I think he's a good play in the last. We've got to wait a while to get there, though.
I did exactly the same for my best bet. I know you like Katsu as well, but I thought Katsu was just too short, and I thought Gunstock last time second up won the Coonji. So this is a horse that probably has Group 1 races in mind further down the track.
Yep.
What about your next best and your value?
Next best was race 5, number 1, Dashing. It's a horse that I've tipped a few times.
Well, it's just the way you live
just
your
always,
life.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a Dashing customer. Just always fronts up, always runs well, this horse. It scratched from a 2,000 metre race at Flemington last week. Drew very wide there. I don't have a big issue with it coming back to a mile. I think it's had 5 starts over 1,600 for 4 placings. So it loves this distance, goes forward from a middle gate, and the 3 kilo claim's pretty handy for Lafferty. It's down to 56 and it's the highest rated horse in the race. So it looks well weighted and we're getting a nice price for Dashing. Best value, I can't believe I'm tipping this horse, but there you go. Race 7, number 3, Mr. Exclusive at $21. It's had 38 starts for 3 wins, so it's not a prolific.
35 very honest runs behind
Yeah,
it.
well, it is very honest. So I think the $5.50 on offer for the place is very good for Mr. Exclusive. Couldn't believe its first up run down the straight. It was $61 and was beaten less than a length by It's Our Time. It was a huge run. So if it can somehow reproduce that up to 1,400, which suits a lot better, I think it'll be in the finish here. He's a horse that always goes forward and puts himself in the picture. So look, $21, $5.50 the place, a little 1x3 or 1x4 play, Matty.
My value bet, we were talking Steve Winwood before, think about it. Well, I've gone the doors, Mr. Mojo Rising. Nothing special, first run in Australia, drop back to the 1300's important, competitive at group level at 1200, and with the claim for W Pin, gets spent at just 52 kilos. So race 4, number 17, Mr. Mojo Rising.
Very good jockey, Billy Pin.
Yeah, Billy
Very
Pin,
good.
I just reckon it's a great name,
Great
isn't
name,
it? Yeah. Let's go to Randwick Shark, and we've had a couple of tough weeks in Sydney, although I'm not going to talk about getting close to the Sydney quaddie last week, but what did you make of the meeting?
Solid enough, typical off-season card.
Yeah.
Pretty even racing. Big fields too in a lot of these. So barrier draws and conditions really play a factor.
5 or 6 did you work on? Around that?
Sort of, yeah, in between.
In between.
And there's a huge amount of difference between the two. You want a horse that handles give, basically. That's what I worked on.
Best bet?
Race 5, number 4, Kazoo. Couple of good wins this prep. The key here, I know he's drawn 10, but the key I think is there's not a lot of speed in this race. I think Karen McAvoy gets him forward and gets him in to either first or second on settling. You should control the race from there. Horse is going well, and I think he's a fair price at the moment to take him as the best bet. Next best will be race 8, number 13, Dehorn Unicorn. Great first up run. Just probably one of those first up runs where he loomed into the race, went to run into it, and just fitness got a little bit of him late. Better horse second up. He'll go really well. And the value, race 9, number 15, Zushak, 3 for 3 at the distance, and you're getting $12. Again, last start run, was pretty solid. He'll go forward, be somewhere in the first 4 or 5 on settling. Get a good shout at an each way price.
My best is in race 6, number 3, Unspoken. Just missed last time at 1700 at Scone. Hit the line really well though. 4th run in Australia, gets to the 2,000 metres, which is a big tick for me and can race on any surface. Value bet, race 8, number 10, Conscript. Really good return at Rose Hill. Second up record is terrific, as is 1100 metre record. The stats are really good here, and again, just drops to 51.5 kilos, so gets down in weight. All right, that's it for Sydney. Now, you've had a couple of multis and you've had a couple of scratchings, so today's the day.
We have missed out on a couple, but I reckon we'll get this multi this weekend. So yeah, I'm very confident. Eagle Farm Race 5, number 2, Yellow Brick. Sandown Race 6, number 7, Katsu. Eagle Farm Race 7, number 1, Kovalika. If we've got the first, I'm pretty confident Lammy coming in the last.
Looks good on paper.
It does.
As we always do. Thank you, Lammy. Thank you, Shark.
On you, Matty.
And thank you for joining us. Keep an eye on socials for Shark's multi, and also the quantity that we've worked out for Sandown. Happy punting on the weekend. See you next time.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. Chances are you're about to lose.